The number of cars on the road keeps growing, yet local auto repair shops, the very places meant to fix them, are disappearing at an alarming rate. A shop that was bustling with cars just yesterday might suddenly pull its shutters down, and within a few days, even the lifts and equipment are ripped out. The decades-old stains of oil are wiped away, and a cafe or convenience store moves into the space. What's more concerning is that once a local repair shop vanishes, it almost never comes back. This collapse isn't something happening in just one or two neighborhoods. From 2010 to 2023, the number of local repair shops in Seoul alone dropped by about 1,000. Meanwhile, car registrations have steadily increased, and the need for repairs and part replacements hasn't gone away. So why are only the local repair shops that handled that work falling apart first? Whose hands did all the work and money they used to handle end up in? What shook the repair shops first wasn't the massive million-1 repair jobs. It started with simple, inexpensive jobs like engine oil and tire changes, things they didn't think much of, moving away from local shops toward platforms and large chains. They seem like menial tasks with little profit, but these small jobs were the gateway to building loyalty and eventually leading to larger repairs. What was lost before the major breakdowns was the control over the small, everyday jobs that kept the registers ringing. Everyone suspected electric vehicles first, because they don't need engine oil, and the recurring maintenance tasks for engines and transmissions are significantly reduced. It seemed like as EVs increased, repair shops decreased. It seemed so obvious that there was no need to even verify it. But the moment you look at the timeline, the story changes completely. Long before 2020, when the number of registered EVs in Korea was around 130,000, local repair shops in Seoul were already disappearing one after another. The shops were already collapsing before electric vehicles even began to fill the roads. The culprit wasn't just electric vehicles. EVs merely delivered the final blow to repair shops that were already severely weakened. The real problem started not after the car entered the shop, but the moment the customer chose which shop to visit. The starting point for people leaving local repair shops wasn't a lack of technical skill. It was the anxiety of not knowing how much they would have to pay the moment they opened the door. They would go in just to change their engine oil, only to be told that this part is dangerous. They accumulated experiences of being told that they needed to change that too, and then receiving a bill much larger than expected. It was precisely that anxiety that maintenance platforms exploited. Once the car model was entered, the price appeared, and after choosing the tires, payment and installation booking were finished. This is where the game changed completely. Customers still walked into the local auto shop, but they had already decided what to buy, how much to pay, and which shop to visit through the platform. The auto shop still lifted the cars and worked with greasy hands, but they had less room to set prices and found it harder to keep those customers coming back. Oil changes and tire replacements weren't high-profit jobs. Instead, they were touch points to first check the vehicle's condition and build a bridge to future repairs. Once those first visits shifted to platform bookings, shops found it difficult to build a relationship that connected vehicle history to the next visit even if they performed the work. What the platform took wasn't just the profit from one oil change, but the very gateway, where the relationship between the customer and the shop begins. So wouldn't it make sense to cut back on low-margin oil and tire work and focus on major, high-cost repairs instead? The problem is that even those major repairs are starting to slip out of the hands of local auto shops. In the morning, a car comes in for an oil change booked via an app. Even if the job takes longer than expected, the price is already fixed on the phone screen. Even if they spend an extra hour on it, the pay doesn't change. In the afternoon, an imported SUV arrives with a warning light on. This looks like a high-profit repair, but without manufacturer-specific information and software, they're stuck at the diagnostic stage. In the end, it's a situation where there's little left over from low-margin work, and they can't even begin the jobs that actually pay well. Why has it become so difficult for local shops to handle complex repairs on modern vehicles? The issue isn't the mechanic's skill, it's that the way cars are repaired has fundamentally changed. In the past, a mechanic's hands were their competitive edge. They found faults by listening to engine sounds, feeling vibrations, and taking parts apart. If they didn't know something, they could learn it, and what they studied could be used for years to come. It's different now. Especially with the latest imported cars and electronic security systems, even if you have a diagnostic tool, you need manufacturer-specific software and updates, and without access to the authentication system, it's hard to proceed with key repairs, even if you know where the fault is. Even if you manage to pass the gate of diagnosis, another barrier awaits. As sensors and control units are bundled into modules, there are more cases where you have to replace the entire module instead of fixing just a small part. Not only has the right to diagnose been limited, but the room to choose how to repair has also shrunk. With lift, rent, and maintenance costs still piling up, margins on high turnover jobs have dropped and shops have begun to face situations where they must turn away vehicles needing major repairs. It became impossible to cover fixed costs by only picking and choosing jobs, and so, squeezed from both sides, auto shops began to close their doors one by one. But the problem didn't end with them closing their doors. Once the shutter comes down, even the empty space starts to disappear quickly. It is exceptionally difficult for an auto repair shop to return after closing down. The moment the lift is removed and the workspace where cars once entered turns into a regular shop, that place is no longer a repair shop. You cannot start an auto repair shop just by putting up a sign on any empty storefront. You must meet the registration standards for the repair business, including workspace for vehicles, necessary facilities, equipment, and skilled personnel. This also requires a location that can handle noise and vehicle traffic, a spacious work area, and floor structures capable of supporting heavy equipment. That is why it is not easy to find and set up a new space to replace an existing repair shop. The moment one lift is removed, it is not just one auto repair shop that disappears. The space for the next mechanic in that neighborhood to start their business is sealed off with concrete. Even if you manage to find a place for a shop, it doesn't mean a new owner will emerge. This time, the industry's ladder for cultivating new talent had been broken. Auto repair shop owners in the past were not born as finished experts. At first, they changed engine oil and tires, taking on small repairs one by one to reduce mistakes. When customers returned, they became regulars. And with the money saved, they bought lifts and diagnostic tools. Those small jobs were their paycheck, their classroom, and the ladder that would eventually allow them to hang their own sign. Now, that first rung of the ladder has disappeared. As platforms set prices for simple tasks, profit margins have thinned, and repair shops have lost the luxury of slowly teaching novice mechanics. Even if you manage to go independent from the very first day you open, you must be as cheap as a big chain, as reliable as an official service center, and ready to diagnose even the latest imported cars. In the past, you could start with a lack of experience and grow, but now you must be fully formed, before you even have a chance to grow, to survive. As a result, the existing shortage of young mechanics has worsened, and the path for remaining mechanics to become new shop owners has narrowed. If so, where did the work and money that neighborhood shops lost end up? The work that left the neighborhood auto shops did not vanish from the market. Only the owner of the money has changed. Repetitive tasks like engine oil and tire changes have gone to platforms and large chains, while warranty repairs and manufacturer-specific diagnostics have gone to official service networks, and specific imports or complex electronic repairs have gone to specialized shops with the right equipment and staff. In the past, one neighborhood shop would manage a customer's vehicle life cycle from replacing consumables to fixing major breakdowns. Now, the maintenance work that a single customer once generated is split by task type and scattered among different businesses. But in a market where work is fragmented like this, how much of a share is left for an ordinary auto repair shop? For low-cost routine maintenance, places with scale and platforms held the advantage, while for complex repairs, those invested in equipment and data had the edge. The market didn't shrink, it split into two rapidly, narrowing the middle ground where ordinary auto shops with no specific expertise or scale could survive. Once this polarization begins, it doesn't stop on its own. The shops that were relatively resilient shared a common trait. They either possessed expertise that was hard to replace, or they had the scale to distribute expensive equipment and personnel across multiple work bays. They didn't just stop at surviving. As neighborhood auto shops disappeared one by one, the customers and work they left behind flocked to these specialized and large-scale businesses. A structure was formed where the remaining strong get even stronger as the weak disappear. But the price wasn't paid only by the owners who had to close up shop. The auto shops disappeared, but the breakdowns and repair costs did not. When a vehicle past its warranty enters an official service center, you often get a quote for genuine parts or full module replacements per manufacturer protocol. This is why the quotes can be higher than at neighborhood shops that utilize partial repairs and aftermarket parts. In the past, even if you received a multi-million-won repair quote, you could get a second opinion from a regular mechanic and ask if they could fix just a small part, or if it was okay to drive a bit longer. Now it has become harder for consumers to find a nearby mechanic who can verify if that quote is truly the only way. The problem isn't the number itself, like the roughly 1,000 shops that have vanished in Seoul. The issue is that the space for lifts and the ladder for training new mechanics have disappeared together, making it hard to fill the void. Cars will continue to break down in the future. With official service centers and large repair firms remaining, it's not that there's nowhere left to fix a car. The problem is that the moment you receive a multi-million-won quote, you have to ask yourself, do I really have to replace all of it? It means the nearby options to ask that question again are disappearing. It's also true that distrust stemming from opaque pricing and recommendations for unnecessary repairs cause people to leave. However, in that process, the chance to check an expensive quote with a trusted mechanic who has known your car for a long time is also disappearing. Every time a shutter goes down at an auto shop, it isn't just one business that is lost. The chance to second-guess an expensive quote, the possibility of avoiding unnecessary repairs, and the options that an average driver could rely on all vanish together. Perhaps we are the last generation that can expect a trusted local auto shop to be there